Last time out here, I talked about the good guy, bad guy idea, right? And to take that a step further, uh, thinking of the individual and how the individual likes to see themselves, usually in a positive light. Although that's not always the case because, people who are depressed or suicidal, things like that, have various psychological problems. They don't see themselves in a good light. A lot of times the causes for that sort of reaction is has a legitimate foundation. It could be very good reasons why someone might feel that way, depressed. Things like feeling guilty about certain things that have happened. But anyway, when it comes to the actual sort of psychological mechanism of how people maintain their position on the white horse, so to speak, is what I would call truth, personal truth. Now, in town here, we have a billboard. Someone paid money, huge billboard on the highway. And it says, facts do not equal truth. It's got the symbol, equals with a line through it. Facts do not equal truth. So it's kind of a dangerous idea that you can, have a truth that's not based on any facts. Of course, people like to apply that to, it may be a religious, billboard, but we have other things going on, like now there's an idea that the Capitol mob attack thing was actually Antifa in disguise, which is ridiculous, but people are believing it. Park ranger going by. But anyway, so that could be your truth. So when it comes to having your own personal truth, in a way, I think just about everybody's got one. Or maybe their truth is that they don't have a truth. I guess that's possible. Or they may have a multiplicity of truths, a complex pattern that are interlocked. Believe in QAnon, but also believe the earth is flat and believe they're linked to reptilian aliens, right? So the thing about holding on to these truths, someone may be very aware of what their truth is or what they claim their truth is, right? So they got a, bumper sticker about Jesus or whatever, but, it's kind of a placeholder or a placard where, it's a presentation. And is that really the truth? It's like, no, not really. So you get into a situation where people aren't really aware of what their truth it really is. They act on it every day in every social situation, but they're never put it into words. It's always behind a veil, right? So the simple truth could just be, I'm better than you are. And there's a lot of that going around. Why? Where does that come from? Out of fear, fear of not being good enough, not being good. That could start early on in school. Take all these tests, got to get the right answer. Can't fail. Parents be disappointed. Everything will crumble. Train from early on. And the whole culture as well. Giant worm. So anyway, when it comes to the personal truth that you may or may not know, I guess what the important question is what do you do if your truth isn't true? Well, for the people who've never articulated their own truth, it wouldn't matter. You would have to get in touch with that yourself. And as I said a moment ago, the general truth is that I'm, good guy or superior, superior to whoever I may encounter. And of course that comes out of fear. So where do we go all with all that? And what do you do when your truth isn't true? Well, recognizing it is the first thing, first step. So anyway, we've got so much crap going on Earth right now with people. People have a hard enough time navigating everything from psychological and emotional state that they're in. But then there's also all this manipulation which comes from commercial forces, basically money, and people aren't necessarily aware of how deeply affected they are by that. So, say you're a little kid, you're 5 years old, you're eating Frosted Flakes in the morning, something you like, whatever. It's like, well, they stuck all that sugar in the food for a reason. And now you're, 40, 50, 60 years old and you're diabetic. It's making your life miserable. But my God, you kept buying the sugary food your whole life, You kept that whole industry going. And if they could put cocaine or heroin or something into your food, they'd be doing that. So all the things that manipulate us that are legal, what is it? Entertainment, news media, dietary stuff. There's, I said politics, nationalism, whatever, religion. They're all there and they're all going all the time. People aren't necessarily aware of how manipulated they are. But to recognize that, you might need a control group, like, say, for example, go into the Amazon or some other remote place and hang out with some people that have never been exposed to all that. And they're living their own lives day to day. And what are those lives like? I always read some anthropology books about people like that, Australian Aborigines, things like that. It's like their lives were quite enjoyable. And they had a whole hell of a lot more free time than we do. Oh yeah, lots of time. And typically they would spend that time just interacting, talking, enjoying each other's company. And we've gotten into this thing with suburbia, which basically separates us. It's like, these housing developments, they go on forever, taking over the whole landscape. Oh, you got your own house, you got your own driveway, you got your own garage, you got all this, your front backyard and all this stuff. And it's like it drives you away from your neighbors. You may not even know who the neighbors are. So, here it comes again. Well, I ain't gonna stop this time. But hold on, I gotta stop. So anyway, where we're at now, all the issues we face, political division, consumerism, pollution, climate, all this stuff. And it's like, what are we gonna do about it? It's like, we're so distracted by all these other things, which are essentially pretty meaningless, could be entertainment. Entertainment is huge. Other countries' entertainment doesn't quite have the overwhelming role that it does in ours. People don't necessarily sit there watching movies all day. Binging, as they say. Movies are fine from an artistic perspective. But why would you have to binge on it, Why would you apply that word to it? Unless it's a bad habit, like eating too many potato chips. So, anyway, where was I? The media, all the complications, distractions, everything, keep people divided, keep them from working together, from cooperating. It's like, this is really sort of the issue, you know. It's like, on the one hand, people have to work these questions out internally, work them out internally, and then they become better working with other people. So you're alone, but you're together at the same time. So anyway, that's kind of it for that topic. You know, what do you do when your truth isn't true? And, you know, how do you identify your truth? It's like, are you really going to be honest with yourself? Because a lot of people, every day they wake up and they go out in the world, they interact, they make choices, they do all these things. And right behind their consciousness, unconsciously, is this truth, which is usually, like I said, born of fear, and it's that I'm better than you are. You know, happens all the time. A lot of conversations I have are like that. Very, very rarely does a conversation not go that way, and it's a nice, refreshing relief when it doesn't. So anyway, one more thing I would mention, which is kind of off the subject, but there's a new book out called Breath. I read about or heard about it somewhere, and it's a bestseller. I saw it for sale in Target, so I picked up a copy about a third of the way through it. But I've started adopting it for the last 4 or 5 days. And you may have noticed, or you may not have noticed on this walk, that I'm not breathing through my mouth. And basically what they say in the book is, don't breathe through your mouth, keep your mouth shut. But turns out that historically, and in other cultures, like, say, for example, Native Americans, they, a lot of those tribes, groups, train children to never breathe through the mouth. The mothers would stay up at night. If the child started breathing through the mouth, they would hold the lips shut, right? It wasn't an act of cruelty. Because basically what happens, and it's a complex subject. It's all backed up with science in the book. You might want to read it yourself. But the benefits of breathing through the nose are immense. And the problems that come from breathing through the mouth are myriad. So snoring, sleep apnea, high blood pressure, on and on and on. Tooth problems, sinus problems, all kinds of other problems. So basically we're designed to breathe through the nose. The mucus and membranes and the hairs are designed to catch particles, bacteria, whatever is in the air, and send them down the throat. Send them down the throat to the stomach and crap them out, right? So in the time I've been doing it, I've noticed a tremendous difference. It's like, feel different, feel really like a different person in a lot of ways. And of course in yoga, it's the same sort of thing. You know, right and left nostril breathing, alternating. Apparently the left nostril calms, the right nostril is better for activity because they feed different parts of the brain. Incredible. So, it's working out very well. And it occurred to me the other day, you know, I was talking about fear being behind everyone's individual truths, or most of them, unconscious truth. And it's like, why would we all be breathing through our mouths? Well, probably because it's, in a sense, a state of panic. State of panic. Everyone's breathing through their mouths. And, you know, it's good for the medical industry or whatever, but not for people's health. So anyway, I highly recommend the book, and I'll just keep my mouth shut until I come up with another subject to discuss.